Evaluate the definite integral. So first thing we need to do is this part right in here, we got to do a u sub. We can't have, we need to have just regular t or regular x or whatever. Can't have a number in there. So I'll put that over here on the side. So u is going to be 4t, and then du dt will be 4, right? Get with that because, 1 power, bring it down, subtract 1, the t's gone. Okay, and then multiply both sides by dt. Boom. So du is 4 dt. And then, so what do we have? So our integral then becomes, let's bring this down, becomes the integral sine of u and then dt. So we got to replace that dt. So divide by 4 or multiply by 1/4. Same thing. So dt is 1/4 du. So anywhere we see dt, we can replace it with 1/4 du. So 1/4 du going right there. This becomes the integral, the sine of u, 1/4 du. Good. Now we've changed it into all u. There's no, we had t at first, then a ut mix, and now it's all u. So you can put this 1/4 in the front. I'll just yank it there. So we have 1/4 the integral sine u du. So that means now we can do the antiderivative of sine u, because that's what the integral and the du operator tells us to antiderivative. So that's going to be cosine u. But the question is it plus or is it minus? Well, to keep that straight, I know a lot of students get confused by it. Here's what I do. I just really remember the derivative rules clearly and then just think them backwards. So what am I talking about? Well, I'm saying that these two. Derivative of sine is cosine. Derivative of sine is cosine, and derivative of cosine is negative sine. Derivative of every cofunction is negative. Okay. So then, and then I just think it backwards. I just think, okay, which one's correct? Which one will make it go back when I do the derivative? Right? If the anti is going this way, then the regular derivative goes back. So if I did, for example, if I did plus, the derivative of cosine would go back to, would go, whoop, there we go. I bumped it. We'll go back to, if I did plus, the derivative of cosine would go back to negative sine. That's not right. There's not a negative back there. So it's not plus. It must be minus cosine, right? Because if you do minus cosine, you get that minus sign. The derivative of cosine is negative sine. You get the two negatives. It'll go back to positive. It's correct. So it must be negative cosine. I just think it backwards like that. Just think it backwards. So and then the 1/4 is still there as well. So negative 1/4 cosine of u. And then now we need to put it here. Now we need to go back to, whoops, our original letter. And so let's do that. And what was u? U was 4t. So we go back to 4t. Okay, so now we need to evaluate this integral between the bounds of 0 and pi over 4. So let's do it. Oops, got a little funny there. I can't seem to get this straight. Okay, there we go. Between 0 and pi over 4, right? Right. Okay, so then we get, in fact, I'm just going to put the minus 1/4 in the front. And we have the cosine of 4 times pi over 4 minus the cosine of 0. Okay, and so that's the cosine, these cancel, of pi. That's the cosine of 0. And if you go to Desmos, if you just know maybe cosine of pi is -1, cosine of 0 is +1. So that's -1/4 times -2. Two negatives make a positive. 2/4 or 1/2. That's our answer, positive 1/2 or 0.5. That is correct. So there we go.